Hello and welcome to the Scum and Villainy Report. Imagine living in a country where the military is allowed to use lethal force against its own citizens, on its own soil. For many of us, that sounds like a far-off dystopian nightmare. But recent changes made by the US Department of Defense might bring that nightmare closer to reality. Just weeks before a major election, the military has quietly given itself the authority to kill Americans right here at home. In today's video, we'll be breaking down what this new directive means, why it matters, and what it can mean for the future of civil liberties in America. Let's start by looking at the historical context behind this. The Posse Comitatus Act, passed in 1878, was designed to limit the role of the US military in enforcing domestic laws. In short, it was meant to ensure that the military couldn't be used as a police force against the American people. But recent changes have thrown this protection into question. In late September 2024, the Department of Defense updated a directive that governs how the military operates on US soil, including when lethal force can be used. On September 27, 2024, the Department of Defense quietly reissued Directive 5240.01. This directive governs intelligence activities, but now includes provisions for the use of lethal force under certain conditions. The directive states that military personnel can assist law enforcement agencies when lives are in danger, and that, if necessary, this assistance can involve the use of force that may result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. This is a significant shift. The previous version of this directive, issued in 2016, made no mention of lethal force. Now, the military has the authority to step in during situations that involve civilians. The timing of this change is raising a lot of eyebrows. We're less than 6 weeks away from a major election, a time when tensions are already high and protests are expected. Some are questioning whether this new directive is intended to give the military a larger role in controlling civil unrest. Media outlets have picked up on this, citing the directive as an alarming development. The Substack Armageddon Pros suggests that this could be a way for the military to deal with protests, demonstrations, or any opposition to government policies. So why now? Is this a preemptive move in anticipation of post-election chaos? Or is it part of a broader trend towards militarizing law enforcement in America? One of the most concerning aspects of this directive is that it's not a law passed by Congress. It's an administrative action taken by the Department of Defense. This means there's no public debate, no voting, just a quiet update that has massive implications for the rights of American citizens. Many experts, including former Congressman Ron Paul, are speaking out about this. He warns that granting the military these powers could lead to more frequent and careless use of force, especially in situations where people are simply exercising their First Amendment rights.
Both parties have used it, one party more than the other, and that is the use of violence like a target assassination. A really, really bad guy. And that was very bad. It is very bad. But this is something that's much broader. This deals with like routine policing activity. So I think it's a very, very dangerous thing.
So let's be clear what's at stake. The U.S. military now has the green light to use lethal force on American soil. This isn't just about terrorism or extreme threats. It could potentially be used during protests, demonstrations, or any situation where the military is called in to assist law enforcement. We've seen this before, whether it was during the civil rights protests of the 1960s or more recently during protests against police brutality. But now, the military has a much broader legal framework to operate within, and that's something every American should be paying attention to.
what would put the most fear into the hearts of an American citizen? An IRS agent knocking on their door, or soldiers standing out front and knocking on the door, or not even knocking?
This directive also ties into a much larger system known as Continuity of Government, or COG. COG was originally designed to keep the government running in the event of a nuclear attack, but it's since been expanded in ways that some find quite troubling. Under the Patriot Act and other legislation, COG has been amended to allow for more drastic measures in the name of national security. Some believe that directives like this one could be used to divide the country into zones, each controlled by military authorities, in the event of a national emergency. One of the biggest ethical questions we have to ask ourselves is, what happens when actions like this are legalized? If the military is authorized to use lethal force on civilians, how long before this becomes a more frequent occurrence? We're at a critical juncture in American history. If we don't stay vigilant, we risk watching our civil liberties erode right before our eyes. So, what do you think about this directive? Should we be worried about the military's expanding role on American soil? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into the stories that matter.